Hi everyone, this is Elizabeth Stahl, Cottage Caboodle. We're going to paint the bunny trio today. So come on in, make yourself at home. If you've got the trio, get them out, get them ready, and we're going to go through and do them. It should be a good time. So come on in. I'm going to get this shared to Caboodle Doodles so that everybody can see it. And right now I'm not seeing that I'm even going live, but I'm sure that will change. I'm sure. So there we go. Let's get this. There we are. There we go. There we go. Now we've got to get it shared out. And okay, well, maybe it'll let me share. You never know. You never know. So here we go. Okay, so let's see. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Now we're cooking. Hi, Kathy. Welcome. Come on in. Make yourselves at home, and we're going to get started. I just had to get this all up so that everybody can see. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you. We're going to be doing this cute little set and just having a good time. So come on in and, you know, sit back, relax. Enjoy yourself. While we're getting ready, I've got a lot of, well, not a lot, but I've got some base coating to do. So I'm just going to do that while we're talking, and then I'll explain what I'm doing in just a minute. But I can do this and say hello as people are coming in. So I see people. That is a good thing. Oh, you guys, we've had a windstorm and a half the last couple of days, and I don't know if you have that thing from Amazon that if you say her name, she starts talking to you. But she just, poor thing, she just keeps saying, the weather advisory has been extended. The weather advisory has been extended. And so we keep getting the weather advisory because we have such wind. Oh, my stars. It was terrible last night. It was just terrible. And usually where I live to Seattle is 40 minutes. This morning it was 90 minutes, and there was just down trees everywhere. So, I'm wondering, does anyone else is having volume problems? Is anyone else having volume problems? She can't hear me, but you need to go out and come back in and see if that helps. I don't see anybody saying that they're having volume issues too, but like I said, okay, so you're hearing me good, Barb. That could be that it's okay. So it is. So just try and go out and come back in. If somebody could drop that in the chat, I'd appreciate it. So but I guess she's seeing it, but sometimes if you go out and come back in, it will help. But come on in, say hello. And yes, that's a good idea, Lisa. So we have been having this wind, this crazy wind. And this morning I heard a boom, my lights flashed, and luckily it wasn't us, it was the street over. But if for some reason, if you didn't see the post I put up earlier, if we end up like bounced out of the internet or something, oh good, yay Lisa, good. If we get bounced out or something, I will reschedule, or I'll let you know on the Cottage Caboodle and the Caboodle Doodles page what we're gonna do as far as makeup and that kind of stuff. But you know, you can't mess with Mother Nature. So, but let's get started. And I've already started, just because, you know, sometimes I think the last thing you want to do is watch paint dry, you know. But I'm just using the Decor chalky paint, and this is in the color Whisper. It comes like this in a jar, really convenient to use. And so this is Whisper. It's very close to kind of a bleach sand plus maybe buttermilk, something like that. It's just a real pretty off-white, and I'm just taking my little bunnies and I'm just base coating them while I'm talking to you. So good, Linda. Yay. I love that. So hopefully the weather is much nicer than it is here where you're at. We're not cold, however. So, hi, Mickey. Hello, hello. Hi, Linda. Hello, everyone. So, okay, I've got the front done of this, and I'm going to go through what the kit is and all of those things. And, oh my goodness, yep, it's starting to be spring, isn't it? It's starting to be spring. So I'm going to turn this down so you can see. And I've got 3 cute little bunny pieces right here. And those little bunnies, they're, I don't know, they're just so cute. And I know that they look like they could be Peeps or something like that. But remember, Peeps are, they are copyright. And so we don't want to use that necessarily. Plus, we've got great ideas and we can come up with better things than something everybody else is doing. So I'm just taking this chalk paint, and remember, chalk paint avoids sealer. And so it's taking this real pretty wood that I've got, and it is just sealing it so that it's going to be protected if it should happen to get wet or whatever. Plus, the chalk paint is kind of pretty, and but it saves us, and we don't need to have it. We're going to do these a couple of different ways. But in the kit, if you decide to get the kit, I did put, hi Jane, hi Debbie, welcome, hi Lydia. We have in the comments, in the description, I've got my website up there, and if you are interested in the kit is $15. You get enough for all 3 bunnies, and if you order today, I will include the napkin that I'm going to use on some of them so that you can have the same napkin I use. And but it's on, I just posted it on the website. Hi Deb, welcome, welcome, welcome everybody. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. So you get the 3 bunnies. You also get some twine. This is heavy duty cotton twine that we'll use for some of the things. You're going to also get some muslin thin torn ribbon. I use it for ribbon anyway. And then you've got some eggs. You can use these as eggs, or I use them as feet. And then we've got some little buttons, these little half rounds that you can use for noses. You can also use them for tails if you want. I have another idea for tails, but you could use them for tails. And then we've got some hearts, and you can add the hearts, or you can add them as a little mouth, like so. See how it's got the little mouth area, or you could use the hearts as a nose. So there's some options, and that's, I think, what makes this fun, is that you can have some options. And I like to, even though I'm going to decoupage some of these with the napkin, I like to get them painted, base coated, because when you decoupage with a napkin, my comments are being funky, you guys. I'm sorry. That's just been in the last couple of days. But even with the napkin, you want a nice kind of neutral color underneath. Otherwise, it's going to give that kind of yellowy brown color from the wood. And so that's, you know, if you like that, if you want that, that's okay. But depending on if I want something bright, I'm going to paint it like an off-white or a white. If I want it to look a little bit vintage or grunged or something, I might use like a burlap or a, you know, like pebble or portobello or something that's just a light brown. But I'm just getting some of that chalk paint on there, trying to be careful not to get any of that built up. We're going to have to give these a light sand though, because like chalk paint does, it's got some little chunky bits in there that we're going to have to sand smooth. We don't have to, but I like to. And I just want to make sure I don't have any on the other edges. So I've got, it's just these little parts that dry around the edge of the jar. So we'll get that done. So that, hello, good morning, Sharon. Good morning, good morning. So these are getting somewhat dry. So let me run the dryer and I'll show you what we've got. I got some napkins. I thought these were cute, kind of gingham spring colors. And so that's the napkin I'm going to be using. And so again, if you decide to order the kit, good morning, Dusty, welcome. If you decide to get the kit, you'll get one of these, even though it's not listed in the kit. That's the special for today. And yeah, so I want to do these in a couple of different ways, though, so that you can see there's a lot of options. If you wanted to just, hi, Patsy. Hello, hello. Thanks for being here, you guys. And we're going to do these in a couple of different ways. They're fun to just play with. You could decoupage with fabric if you didn't want to use the napkins. And hello, hello. And so this is something that you can really, you know, just, you can do all kinds of things with them. They're fun to play with. The other thing that would be fun is if, you know, if you like to do different like mixed media kinds of things, these would be fun for that too. And you know, even something like mosaic or something like that, or you know, just a different technique that you've been wanting to try, it would be really fun. It would be fun to decorate these with a lot of buttons and use the color of the buttons to make the color on the bunny. I saw recently some people using just bandanas that they decoupaged and using that for the background instead of painting a background. And I thought, oh, that's really clever. So there's all kinds of things that you can do, but these are cute, and they're a perfect size for a lot of different things, and you can find a place for them to fit. How do you get notifications that I'm going live? If you're following me, you should be able to punch the little 3 dots and let the FB know that you'd like to know that I'm going live. The other way that you can do it is by either Sunday or Monday, I put up a schedule on the Cottage Caboodle page and tell what time I'm going live and where I'm going live, so you can check there. I would love it if I had a broadcast channel. I'm not sure why I don't have a broadcast channel. There are people with less followers than I've got that have a broadcast channel, but I don't have one. And so I was using Telegram, but then people weren't using Telegram, so I quit doing that. But if we want to, I can start using Telegram again. And if that gives you the you know, notifications and stuff. But you can try it in I don't know if Messenger is going to work without the broadcast channel, though. So I'm sorry. I'm trying. So okay, so I've got these, the first coat all the way around. We'll get that dry. There we go. I hope you're having a good day. I hope everybody's doing well. Hi, Nancy. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for the thumbs up and the hearts. That's so nice of you. I appreciate it. There we go. We're getting it. That's one thing about chalk paint, is it does take a little bit longer to dry, but in the end you're saving yourself a step by not having to seal it, so it kind of, it turns out okay in the end. I'm going to flip these over. They're still kind of cool though, so I don't want them sticking to the cardboard. So, oh my goodness, you guys, this wind is something. And you know, I don't know if you're the same way, but just when it's super windy like this, because we had like 50, 60 mile an hour gusts and stuff, and it just, you know, it's noisy, you don't sleep well, our dogs were restless, all of those things. So wah. Hi Carrie, good morning. So it's just, you know, the crazy I'm hoping spring weather. That's better. It's not quite so cool. If your paint is a little bit cool to the touch, that means that there's still moisture in it and it's not dry. So you want to make sure that it's room temperature. It doesn't feel clammy, and that's what I was waiting for and trying to get it to dry. But we'll just get this one coat on, and then we'll be able to do the fun stuff. So this is, again, a chalk paint. This is Decor chalk paint. It's in the color Whisper, which is an off-white, real close to bleach sand or maybe even buttermilk, not quite as yellow. And, you know, chalk paint is a little more expensive than regular bottled acrylic. However, you don't use as much, and it serves as a sealer to protect your wood from, you know, absorbing too much paint and all of that. So you end up using less, and it takes out a step for you. So, hello. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Kim. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see everybody. Okay, so I lost my ribbon over the edge. That's okay, though. We don't need that right now. We don't need it. There we go. And so I'm pouncing this around because I know I'm almost done, and I don't want to get a whole bunch of paint in there because, number one, it will take a while for it to dry. Number two, then I'm wasting it. So now I can take my lid, and if you know me, you know that I don't usually paint out of an open container of paint. I usually pour some out because it the more you have your paint open, the more it will dry out, and it just ruins the integrity of the paint a little bit in that it dries up and has some little chunks or flakes that can form and that kind of stuff. So, but today I kind of, when I'm live, sometimes I break those rules and don't set a very good example because I'm trying to get things done and get to the fun part. So, okay. Now, I am going to be using the Decor Decoupage. This is like Mod Podge. This is the one for napkins. And it's just a little bit thinner is all. You can use whatever you prefer if you've got Mod Podge on hand, or if you use the Elmer's plus a little water. You know, whatever you use for decoupage is fine for these little decorative pieces. And yeah, so now those are dry. I'm going to take a little sanding bit of stuff, and I was able to keep the dried bits off this side better, but this side has a couple, so I'm just going to go over. And the nice part about chalk paint is when you sand it, it just gets so smooth. It's really nice. Really nice. Okay. And even though, like, when I touch it, it feels pretty smooth, but once you sand it, it's almost like a porcelain finish. Hi, Colleen. Colleen, I still haven't done your invoice. I will when I get done here. Hello, everyone coming in. Thanks for being here. I'll just give it a quick little once over. And you're going to see my very fancy way of getting rid of dust. There we go. Just a little blowing it off. That's what I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. So I'm going to get my little parts and pieces off of here so I don't end up losing them all together. But that's what's in the kit, is enough to make these three in different configurations. You'll have some pieces probably left over. Also, if you order the kit today, you're going to get the napkin that I'm going to be using to decoupage. And when we are going to use this guy, this is a great napkin because it's one of those big ones. So the whole thing is usable. The only part that I would caution you on is where it's about halfway, where this center fold is. You can see that the colors don't, you know, the pattern doesn't line up. It doesn't match. So if that bothers you, you'd have to plan accordingly. So what we're going to do, though, is there are several ways that you can decoupage. Some people like to put the decoupage on the surface and then let it dry and then iron it. You can do, you know, I like to just brush the varnish on and then put the napkin on and then varnish over the top. I kind of like, if there's, you know, some people don't like the little bit of wrinkle and stuff that it causes. I like that. I think it makes it have a little bit more character. So it's all up to you though. So I'm going to do 2 of these with napkin, and I'm just going to take and put a little bit of that decoupage medium on there, and I'm going to go off the edges because I want it at the edge, but I don't want it to run over the edge. I'm not planning on, you know, wrapping this around. Now, if I were doing fabric, I'd do it the very same way, And I want to make sure I go every which direction so that I'm sure that all of that medium is on there. And I put a generous coat. Then I put a little bit on my finger and tap it until it gets kind of sticky. So let it dry a little bit. Then I can go to my napkin and sandwich it in between my 2 sticky fingers, and I can get those other plies of the napkin. There's either going to be 2 or 3 plies of napkin, and you can see that this one has 3 plies. Here's 1, 2, and then the pretty one. So I want to take that pretty one off. You can use that plain, those other 2 plies for something if you want, but I'm not going to use those right now. And then I'm just going to, and because this is plaid, I either want to go absolutely crooked, or I want to try and get it as straight as I possibly can, because somewhere in the middle is going to make it just look a mess. So make sure that you have it either, you know, as straight as you can get it, or crooked, and not somewhere in between. So you can see that I just got that nice and gently patted down. Napkins are a little bit tender because they're so thin. So I want to get that pressed down as much as I can just with my hand. If I was going to rub it, I would put a little bit like a sandwich bag or something over my hand. But then I'm just going to take that same medium and I'm going to go towards the outside edge all the way around. And that will adhere this napkin really well and protect it. And then I can paint on it. Or I can leave this, you know, for the back. But I'm going over the edge because I want those edges really nice and adhered. Now, normally I would have cut this or torn this ahead of time, and I don't know why I didn't. I don't have a good excuse. But I'm just going to, I'll just make a little cut. You can use just a plain paintbrush with water to kind of, you know, give it a general, and I'll show you that with this next one so that you're not doing it this way because it's kind of awkward. So and I'm going to set this off to the side, make sure that my edges are nice and adhered because I had to cut it. And then I'm going to set this off to the side so it can dry, and it doesn't take too long for it to dry. Set it off to the side. And then what I was talking about with the damp or with the wet paintbrush, you can use a watercolor pen if you have one, or you can just use a regular paintbrush and some water. Now my water isn't very clean. I didn't clean it after using it this morning. But I can use a pen and go all the way around it real tight, or I can just make kind of a general mark with my just water in a paintbrush, and then I can take and just rip that so that I have the amount I need. But everybody, it's kind of, you know, one of those things, the decoupage is so forgiving and it's fun to use, but it's also got a lot of wiggle room where you can use it and use, you know, whatever's comfortable to you. So I'm going to do this one again. You know, this is the other bunny. We already did one. Now, Any little embellishments are super cute on these, from jewels and gems to little resin pieces to buttons. You can use, you know, just the possibilities are endless, really, to make these kind of just have their own character. And then I'm going to put this on as straight as I can get it. And this time I want to have, just to see if I can do it, I got the blue stripe fairly centered on here, so that was good. And I'm just softly, my decoupage medium isn't coming through the napkin quite yet, so I'm able to just kind of pat it down. And then I'm going to come over here and get some more of this napkin decoupage medium. This again is the Decor brand, and I'm just going to give it another coat. And I'm going from the center out, and that way I'm not pulling it up from the edge. I really want those edges to be nice and sealed, and that's going to protect the whole thing. So I'll keep that down. But again, if I were using fabric, I could do the same thing, but I wouldn't use the napkin medium. I would either use the multi-purpose sealer or Mod Podge or decoupage for fabric. That would work really, really well. So I'm going to close this up because I'm done with that now. Cheryl, I'm using the decoupage from Decor, and this is the one for napkins. The one for napkins. Now, if you want to do this and do it in kind of a grungy way or make it look a little more primitive, one of the things that I've seen done, which is really kind of cool, is using instant coffee, and that's a pretty cool method. So I could do one like that if you wanted. I wasn't sure how I'm gonna let this dry off to the side. Let me grab my other decoupage medium, and then I've got some, I believe, oops, I'm moving my camera. I'll get it back. Nope, not that one. Here we go. I've got some instant coffee in here. I just get instant coffee from the Dollar Tree. And you can, let's see here. So I've got my decoupage mat. This is just the regular decoupage. And it's a lot like Mod Podge or one of those. I'm gonna get my camera back to where it was. And I've got, let's try this. So, like I said, I did not have a plan, but I've got some brown paper here, a little bag, and I'm going to cut just up that seal, and then we can do kind of a primitive looking one. I'm going to just cut this folded end off. Now, if I'm wanting this to look a little bit old or aged or something, what I might want to do to my brown paper is print it up. So, and I'll get it all, hello everybody coming in, and I've got it all crinkled, and it will work really, really well for decoupage. I've also got a little, that glued edge. I'm going to take that off and recycle that. And then I'm going to just tear off. And I can use it in one piece, or I could also use it by overlapping. So I'll do one side with just the one piece of decoupage, or with the one piece of paper, and then decoupage it. I don't think I have a little thing to mix it. I usually have a little glass dish. I don't see any, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of my decoupage medium, and this would work with whatever brand you decide you're going to use. I'm going to cap that back up. Theoretically, it's like, you know, well, it is a glue, so it doesn't, sometimes it gets a little dried stuff around it and doesn't want to do what you want it to do. And then with this coffee, I've just got it in a shaker, and I get it at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to put a little bit of the coffee granules on there, and then I'm going to mix it, and it turns it this nice warm brown color with those coffee granules in there. So if it's kind of a pretty color. So now I can put this on here, and I could stir this and use it until those granules go away, but since I'm making it kind of grungy, I'm okay with those little granules being in there and just adding to the grunginess of it, because I can make this as grungy as I want it. And then I'll put this over top, give it a little pat. And then I'm going to go over top. And this is a heavier paper, so it's not going to be nearly as fragile as those napkins. And it's going to, because I crunched it up and crinkled it up, it's going to have a lot more of those little wrinkles and bumps and stuff in it. I'm just going over the whole outside edge. But this kit is something that you can, you know, it's got a lot of room for you to do some things that you want to with it. It doesn't have to be done, and you can see that those little granules are melting as it goes here. And there you go. So we'll let that dry. Hadn't planned on doing a grungy one, so I'm kind of excited. I like doing the grungy ones too. So I like all the different types and sorts and stuff. I'm going to warm this up so that it starts to dry. Because this is a little bit thicker, so it's going to take a minute. It smells so good. So good. I'm not sure why our comments are doing funny things. I'm seeing, again, like I was, I think it was the day before yesterday, Saturday or Sunday, I just kept seeing over and over and over again, so-and-so's coming in, so-and-so's here, so-and-so's coming in. And so this is coming up on the edge, so I want to get that taken care of. And once it dries, we may need to go around the edges of this because it is a thicker paper. So I'm going to go over here and see how our little napkin ones are doing. And they're getting dry. They're almost, you know, they don't take much time at all, so we'll get those dry. Hi, Glenda. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here. We are decoupaging one side of the bunnies. We're going to paint the other side. And I'll show you how I like to put, you know, kind of tie them all together. But you can do these all the same. You can do them differently. Hi, Karina. They don't have to be done exactly the same. You know, if you wanted to give them to other people and, you know, if they weren't going to be all in a set, even if they were going to be all in a set. You know, I just love looking at, you know, some of the different animals. We have some towns around us that have like a bear or a cow, and people dress them up. I was in Oklahoma City and went downtown, and they have themed pianos all over the town, and you know, people paint them for different themes, and so you could do different themes on these bunnies too. So you could, you know, do a cow bunny or a flower bunny or a whatever you fill in the blank bunny, a picnic bunny, whatever you think would be fun, with wrapping paper or napkin or anything in between. Let me give this other one a little bit. And then I like to use my gator sander just for the edges to get that napkin off. And it's super, super easy. Some people like to light it on fire and, you know, let the excess just burn away. That's not something I'm really game for. I'm not so sure that I would fare well with that. So, and you just go around on that edge. And even if you don't get 100% of it, it's easy enough to pull it away. And it's still a nice edge, a crisp edge, but just a little bit. And you can use anything. I just pulled that up there. You can use anything really. If you wanted to use a little nail file, I've seen people do that, or a little wood file. I've seen people go into the tight areas with an X-Acto knife. So, but it is important, I think, to use, you know, go one way, meaning I like to pull towards the back, because then you're not trying to get your paper to come up and, you know, bubble or not adhere at the edge or something. So I like to go this way. But people have their preferences, but really I think however it works for you is the perfect way. So I'm going to just pull that away. And then I've got my little bunny. So remember, if you order this kit today, you will get the little plaid napkin that I used. Hi, Pat. Oh, it would be super cute to use the napkins in the ears, on the insides of the ears. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I mean by this kit, is really got a lot of, you know, there's a lot of room to be creative with it. You don't have to do it any one way to have it be, you know, right or whatever. You get to add your own touch to it. One of the things that I've seen people use that's really kind of nice, especially for something like a holiday gift or something, I think, is, you know, if you've got your aunt's or your grandma's jewelry box, you know, a lot of times there's just one earring. You know, we're all the same, I think. When we lose a favorite earring, that other earring doesn't get tossed away. A lot of times it just goes back in the jewelry box, just in case we find that other one. And this is the perfect use for some things like that, because then not only is your bunny pretty because you put an embellishment on it, but it also has some sentimental value, because even if you hadn't seen that loved one wearing that little bauble, you would know it was from them. So really quick, it goes just super quick. So now this could be your front or your back of your bunny. And I'm going to let that, it's still a little bit tender. It's dry to the touch, but it's still a little bit tender. We're going to see how this other one is doing, our little kind of primitive grungy guy. And there's some, you can see some of it is a little bit shiny. Oh, there's that slick. A little bit shiny. And so it's, because it's crunched up, it's got a little bit of puddle to it. But oh, I'm telling you, this is worth doing just to smell it. You've been using a lot of paper and glitter. Yeah, isn't that fun? And I think, you know, Easter and spring really lends itself to that. I think about those beautiful old cards that were almost like a vellum. They were thin, and then they had soft colors and really, really pretty glitter on them and stuff. And I'm going to just push this down because I see the puddles, not puddles, but there's just little blisters of paint that was a little bit thicker, and I want to make sure that those edges are down. And again, I could put the decoupage on here, let it dry, and then iron my paper on. I have a little miniature iron that I can use. So, but paper is a lot of fun. You don't have to have a lot of it, you know, to make a cover. So you can see that it doesn't take much. And I think this is dry enough now for us to do the edges. But wrapping paper works really, really well. Sometimes you can even find, you know, magazines are real thin, but you can sometimes find little patterns and things in magazines that you can use, or, you know, flyers and that kind of stuff. But not as much anymore, it seems like, with the invent of Pinterest and stuff. There's just not as many magazines being used, you know. But this is fun. And if you haven't seen, you probably have seen some of the different primitive things made with coffee before, but I'm going to show you something that I have recently learned with the coffee grounds, or the instant coffee. And if you missed it, I get the instant coffee to make my coffee grunge for my muslin and stuff, and I get it at the Dollar Tree. And I like to put cinnamon and vanilla in mine too, and I get the artificial vanilla from the Dollar Tree, as well as cinnamon if I can find it. But believe it or not, I can find cinnamon cheaper on Amazon than I can at the Dollar Tree, for a huge bottle of it. You know, more than what 3 bottles at the Dollar Tree would be, in terms of volume, I can get from Amazon. And that's kind of a fun thing to do too. So you always have the cinnamon and stuff. But this one is dry, so I could leave it like that. It almost looks like a leather or something. And I've got my white fingers I wasn't very careful about, and so I'll have to touch that up with my coffee grunge. But the other thing that you could do with something that's like this is when you do the other side, and it would take a little more time, but not a ton, is put a little bit of that decoupage medium on there, a little more of the coffee. Oh, sure, Risa, I can do that. That is no problem at all. No problem at all. It should be under surfaces, but sure. And just remember on the new site that there's drop-down menus that come down. So you go to the general, and then there's a few other choices, and it just keeps narrowing it for you. So, but no, that's no problem at all. So I'm going to put on a little more of that Mod Podge that I've mixed with the coffee. If you were going to use this kind of Mod Podge, this is the Decoupage by Decor, but if you were going to use this kind of a treatment and add the instant coffee to it, you could put, you know, quite a bit in a small jar, or dedicate one jar to this, and it would be fine to use. Now, I'm going to just use some of this that I've used, that I already decoupaged, and I'm going to take some of these little parts and pieces and rip them. And then I'm going to go over them just to seal them down. And there will be a few more little seams and stuff. So if you go under, so see, it takes a little more time, but not much. And it will kind of be a little bit more leathery looking and stuff, and have a little bit more texture to it. So you can do that too. Hi, Vanessa. How are you? They're under surfaces. Thank you, Glenda. Thank you, thank you. So, but if they're not, I will put up the link for sure in the description of this video, so you don't have to hunt. But you can overlap them and then just let them dry. You could do the same thing with the napkin too. But we used to do this. I don't know if you've ever done this, but I remember doing it in elementary school, but I also remember doing it in Campfire or Bluebirds or Brownies or one of those, where we took little squares of masking tape and put it on something, and then when it was and decoupaged, and when it was dry, you put some dark shoe polish or something else. You know, if it was paint, you could use paint, and then it will pick up on those edges, and it really looks like leather when you're done. It's kind of fun to have the crinkle, huh? Oh, thank you, Glenda. You're the best. Thank you, thank you. Glenda put a link in there directly to the kit. So if you're hunting for the kit, give Glenda a good old shout out. Thank you, thank you. And, you know, so even though I've got some of the decoupage on some of this, because I had taken it off the back side, it just adds to kind of the character and stuff. And some people wouldn't want to have a cut edge or something like that. And I'm not that finicky about this kind of thing. It just adds to all the charm, I think. And as it dries, again though, if it starts to peel up, you can use a piece of parchment over it and then iron it. Just make sure you don't have steam on. You don't have to have a fancy little iron or anything. You can use a regular one. I just don't want you ruining your iron and saying, I got coffee on my best blouse or something like that. Just use a piece of parchment. And I'm getting low on my decoupage stuff, but I think I'm pretty well covered. I've got, I think, everything. I'm just going around those edges to make sure that I've got those edges all nice and pushed down. And this will take a little bit longer to dry. There is a couple right here in the middle that are just blank little spots. So you do, but it will take a little bit longer to dry because it's thicker, because I've got so many layers, you know, or overlapping. But it is really pretty once it dries. So sorry, I'm chasing this around over here. Hi, Janet. Thank you, Vanessa. Oh, I'm so sorry, Sheila. I'm so sorry for your loss. Hi, Sandy. Okay, so we're going to set this one off to the side, and then we can work on these other brighter ones. Now, I know that grunge isn't for everybody, but especially at this time of the year, it's hard to find things that have, if you like that look, it's hard to find things that have that, that aged or, you know, vintage look. So that's kind of fun to use. But you could also use cutouts, just different parts and pieces, and paint them to look like they're grunge, so that it's almost like a steampunk kind of a look too. So I'm going to get some color out, but I want to get it so that it matches. I've got some, there we go. This is from my Home Chef that I reuse those pieces. So I'm going to use, well, I've got razzleberry here, and that would be pretty, and it's a little bit deeper and darker than a normal pink. So it's just a real pretty berry color. And once again, I'm going to go right in the middle and work my way out over those edges. I have a plan for those edges, so I don't want to get paint on there if I can help it. I got a little gunky. I'm in dangerous territory over here with this coffee on the same palette paper. Over the edge. Isn't that a pretty color? It is really a pretty raspberry color. It's beautiful if you mix it with a little bit of burnt umber. If you're taking my Spring Fling, when we do the roses, we put a little bit of burnt umber with this color, and it mutes it a little bit. Well, no, it tones it a little bit. It doesn't really mute it. So we'll have to give that a second coat, but you can see that that's just such a pretty color. So we'll let that dry. And then how about, let's see, what do you think? Should we do a blue or yellow bunny? Blue or yellow? What do you think? blue or yellow. Oh, thank you, Risa. Thank you. Cha-ching. Yeah, I know I need to turn that. I didn't silence my phone. I didn't do that. So I should. Here, let's do that. That way. There we go. So what do you think? Blue or yellow for the other bunny? Blue or yellow? We'll do that, match that other bit of blue, 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 blue. Oh, I see a lot of blues. A lot of blues. Blue, 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 blue. I think I've got my answer. I'm going to grab a little bit of Provence Sky. And that's the blue that we're getting. You like yellow too, Sheila? I love yellow. But we'll use Provence Sky. If you were doing this with yellow, the yellow I would likely grab is the Banana Cream or Baby Duck, one of the two. And just really pretty, pretty colors. And, you know, I know that this is not a regular bunny color, but you could do these in gray or tan or khaki to make it look like a regular, you know, bunny, regular bunny, not a, like a fantasy bunny. But that Provence Sky is covering really nice. I still will probably put on a second coat just to be sure, because that's how I like it. But that razzleberry for sure needs one. So there we go. Hello, Kim. Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry. That one's dry, so I can put on a little more razzleberry. There we go. You know, and there's a ton of rub-on transfers too. Today, not yesterday. I think I kind of filled in your blank for you in my head. I thought that's what you meant. My husband goes to the food pantry. He works for the power company, the local power company, and because we have hydropower, one of the requirements for that is to have a lot of volunteer time from the employees of the power company because of, you know, all the problems that hydropower create when they flood the areas to make, you know, with the dams. And so one of the things that he does is he goes to the food pantry and some days he'll repackage oatmeal or frozen peas or whatever, but they always have a good time doing it, and usually afterwards they all go to lunch or something, and not on the city, but on their own, you know, on their own. And they have a good time with it, though. It's kind of one of the, there's a lot of fun volunteer things that he gets to do. And I go with him sometimes and do them. He doesn't get credit for that. You've done it for 25 years. Good for you. Good for you. It's just, it's humbling maybe. I don't know. It just makes me feel good when, you know, my dad was an alcoholic, and when I was growing up, he would, this was before there were a lot of people all, you know, asking for money on the corners and stuff, but he would always give money to people who were on the street or asking for it. And I remember asking him about that, and he said, we're all just one bad decision away. And you know, I don't know, I often have wondered what he would say about how times have changed a little bit, but it's also nice to be able to help someone and have to presume positive intent that they're, you know, using it for the right reasons and stuff. But that's not mine to judge. So, but yeah, I often think about that. And so we would do things I've, you know, served and helped with the shelters and stuff too, and even on Christmas Eve we've done that. So it just, you know, is kind of a fun thing. So in a weird way, I guess, but it is satisfying. I guess that's a better word than fun. It's satisfying. I'm just putting some stripes on here. I think that with the plaid on the background, I like to see the different plaids or the different patterns and things. And because I've got a multicolor one on the back side, I can do pattern with something that's a little simpler and it still looks cute, I think. So, yep, except for the, yep. I agree. And you just never know. So, although it became very personal to me when one of the areas that the homeless had set up camp around us, it literally, and I'm not even exaggerating because I heard it from the manager of the store, the theft from that closed our Hobby Lobby, our local Hobby Lobby, because they just couldn't keep up on the theft. And so that was sad for any business, you know, any business. But so, okay, so I'm just putting those little stripes all the way around the outside edge. And they don't have to be perfect because when you see them all together, they're going to look more even as you look at the whole of them. So I'm not going to put it on the bottom, but I will come around here and put it on the side. And I already think I'm going to put polka dots on the little pink one, the raspberry one, the razzleberry. It's good to see everybody. I hope you're having a good day. The wind is dying down here, so that's a good thing. It's not nearly as crazy as it was. Those of you who've heard me talking about our Gracie girl, we have she's not quite 2, a golden retriever puppy, and then we've got our other older golden retriever, but she got up with me this morning and she wanted to go outside, so I put her outside, and poor thing, she was trying to do her thing that she does in the morning, and the wind was blowing and she's thinking somebody's trying to get her or something, I don't know, or, you know, tormenting her, and it's just because of the wind. So, poor baby. So there we go with the little stripies all the way around. But how cute would that be, just, you know, with a little bit of a, you know, if you had some potted tulips or daffodils or something, just to kind of put those little bright bunnies in between. We'll let that dry with the little stripes, but I think that looks cute on the edge. And then I'm going to get out some razzleberry and do the same thing on the edge, but with polka dots. So finally warming up in New York. Good for you. Oh, it's still raining, Colleen. Welcome to Washington. It hasn't stopped. It has not stopped. You know how most people get, like maybe on their phones or something, a notice that says, it will start raining in 20 minutes. Well, we have about, I don't know. I live in Washington State, if you don't know that. And we have about, I don't know, 10 or 12 different ways it can rain. We've got drizzle, we've got showers, we've got rain, we've got, you know, a downpour, we've got all these different things. And so ours says, you know, the rain will come soon. Oh, it will start to lightly rain. There will be a mist, there will be showers, whatever, and it will update you on the type of rain that you're getting. So it's kind of funny. That's okay. That's what makes it pretty around here, so I will deal with it. So you can see though that that polka dot is going to be real cute on there with that little bit of plaid. And if I want to tie it in a little bit better, I can add something like what that heart would be really cute on the back side of the bunny with this razzleberry. So really a fun kind of a thing. And if you decide, now if this is dry, hopefully it will be, I may not leave it this way. I may actually wash over it with some of this razzleberry with a real thin wash of paint, and it will bring in a little more of this color and tie it together a little bit. Yeah, it's misty, it's on the water, you know, all of that, but it's not in the summertime. Don't tell anybody, but it doesn't rain as much as people think. And so we don't want people to know because, you know, then they'll move here. I'm just teasing, of course, but it doesn't rain as much then. But also, you know, if you're in Washington, you don't stop doing stuff because it's raining. Otherwise, you know, you probably wouldn't do much. Where I went to college was right up by the border of Canada, and a town called Bellingham. And Bellingham is right on the bay, and when it rained there, it would also blow like crazy the way it was situated between some mountains and a valley and stuff. And so we used to laugh that the newcomers, or the people who were brand new to the school, or the tourists, those were the people who had umbrellas, because you didn't have an umbrella for long because it was inside out within 2 uses probably. And so you had rain gear. There's a reason that REI and all of those places are prevalent here. So you have your Gore-Tex and stuff. But we've got our little polka dots on there, and I'm going to wipe that brush handle off. I'm going to give it just a little bit of heat, not because I think it's going to dry it. I love polka dots so much, so much, so much. I don't want it to, you know, I'm not thinking that it's going to dry it, but what it does do is it gives it a little bit of a skin over that dot, so that if I do happen to bump it, it's not going to be nearly as noticeable. So, and I need to wipe off my hands, but I did get some white paint from my fingers on the front here, so I want to go over that real quick. Okay, so then we'll let that dry. So now let's check on our other bunny. Our other bunny. Now, this is dry, so I think I am going to do what I was talking about, because if we don't get done, if our dots don't get done, then we don't have to quite worry about it. But if I take a lot of water and a little bit of paint, that's called a wash, and I can take that little bit of paint, and I know, don't get scared yet. Don't get scared. I'm not going over it all the way, but I'm taking that little bit of wash of color. It might grab it a little bit hard on these edges just because they're cut edges, but I think you'll like the effect because it'll be a little bit softer. So I'm going to leave that like that, and let's dry that. One of my good friends growing up, her mom, and she was one of my college roommates, her mom wore polka dots, I swear to you, every day. She had them on in some form or fashion. She just loved polka dots. But you can see that that just makes it a little less contrast, so it's not quite so shocking to look at. So with that little bit of thinned paint, it just really helps to have it blend in a little bit. okay, Robin. It'll be here. It will be here. But that doesn't take long to put that little wash of paint over the edge, and it just makes it so that it's not quite so bright and, I always say, jump out and grab you. It's a little less shocking to look at. I need to pull this over the edge just a skosh. There we go. And then we can dry it. Super fun though, to just have a little something to look at on the edges. I'm not going to do it on the whole part of the bunny, but I think I've got an area where it's dry enough that I can at least show you what it's going to look like while we're on this part. And then I'm going to set this off to the side so that those dots can dry. But if I put quite a bit of water again, make it so that it's transparent, so that if I had to, I could read a book through it. I've got a fuzzy there. Last night I was teaching Sparkle and Shine, and the first time ever, once in a while, my cat Lucy will get up on me when I'm online, but not very often. And one of the gals in Sparkle and Shine lives right across town, and when it started to rain, it was, see how pretty that is? It just really sets it back a little bit and makes it look and this is dry enough for me to do this. I don't want to push it too much, but I don't want to go over it and over it. But the gal who lived across town said that they had lightning, and Lucy had just jumped up on me, and I'm sure that that's why she heard it. And we've been having a lot of earthquakes in our area too lately. Not big ones, like under 3 or so, but still, the animals are sensitive to that. But I'll still take those over tornadoes and all that craziness, hurricanes. Okay, so that is good to know. I'm not going over it and over it because I know that they're still pretty tender, but I was able to go over it with just having it be that dry in order to get a little bit of that wash of color on there. And I think it makes a big difference so that it's not quite so much contrast and stuff, but it's pretty. So I'm going to set this off to the side, let it dry. We're going to go back to the blue one after we look at our other one and see how it's going. I'm sure it's not completely dry. You can still see some of that shine to it, but you can see also where we tore the paper and stuff. It really is kind of cool. So we'll let that continue to dry while we finish this little guy up. Now, you can decide whether or not you want your, when you have earthquakes, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's, the dogs know. If you want, you could put, it was mentioned earlier that you could use the napkin in the insides of the ears. A lot of times I will just, draw on the ears and then put some polka dots or some stripes or some plaid. And that's always fun to do in there. And then I'm going to put these up. You can use the hearts or these little half rounds for the noses and the faces. So for the blue one, I'm gonna show you how you can use it with a face, and I need some white paint. Where's my white? White. I'm gonna use a little bit of bleach sand, which isn't quite white, but it'll be white enough for what we're doing. There we go. And just a little bit of that Provence sky, and I just want it a little bit lighter than what it is. And I'm going to do this for like the little muzzle area of the little bunny. So the bunny's face, though, could easily be a paint pen. It could be, you know, it doesn't have to be something like this, you know, fancy. I'm going to put a little stripe for the inside of the ears with that lighter blue, and I'll put a stripe, and then I'll go off to one side, and then around that and off to the other. Again, down the middle, then off to one side and off to the other. And then I'll look at them to see if they match or get close enough to match. Need to come out a little bit more. That blue's pretty. And then we'll give it another little coat on this little guy because it's kind of soaking in. And then we want to have a little pink nose. And you could use a light pink of some sort. If you used razzleberry, you could take a little bit of razzleberry with, I've got the bleach sand out, so I'll just mix a little bit of razzleberry and bleach sand to do a nose. And I could tape this down, but where's the fun in that? And that will go. The bunnies are on, I have kits of these on my website. So it's enough to make all, it comes with 3 bunnies and then the stuff to make 3 of them except for the paint. And if you order today, you're going to get the napkin that I use to decoupage the back of them. So it's a little plaid napkin. So we've got it on this one too. So really, really fun, really cute. And if you wanted, you could put polka dots on the inside of the ears. You could also do a grid. You could leave it the way it is. You could shade it. You could, I mean, you get the picture here. You could do a lot of different things with it. So if I put just a little liner, and I think it will dry and show, just to kind of maybe make it look like a little pattern. We'll see if it goes. If not, we can always go over it. I think when it dries, it's going to show well enough. I don't need it to show a lot. I just want it to be kind of subtle. I could also just blush the inside of the ears. It's just real subtle and just cute. No stress there. And I can place that and see if I like it. Oh, I do like it though. I do. So we'll put that aside. I'm gonna do the little feet. The little feet are done on egg shapes. You could also decorate these as eggs if you wanted. They wouldn't have to be the feet, but I want to show you, you know how to do eggs. So I want to show you how it would look if they were feet. And if I had to do them like an egg, I could do it something like that, where I just use washi paint to kind of stain the background and another coat of paint to make the pattern, and then use a white paint pen to kind of give it some design. So not anything real crazy or difficult. There we go. Now I'm going to take this is just a little bit more of that color, the light color, the bleach sand, and I'm just going to make a little bit of a highlight to highlight that little muzzle area with that lighter color. And then I also want to use that brush mix of that Provence Sky, our base coat color, and some bleach sand. And then I'm going to make little toes on these eggs. I'm going to do 4 toes. And then the little pads on his feet. So I'm going to make an exclamation point. Then another little connector exclamation point. And then another one. So now I've got little pads on his feet. So cute. Isn't that fun? And again, the little toes, little ovals. And you could fancy these up if you wanted to put, you know, polka dots or stripes or anything like that. If you wanted to put, you know, have like, you know, how cute would it be to call your bunny Twinkle Toes and put some little jewels on for his toes, you know, that would be super cute. But just fun, you know, and something like this would be fun too for either like a girls' night where you just have, you know, snacks and you get together and paint, or, you know, if you have children or grandchildren that like to paint with you, that would be perfect too. But just a fun little project. And this one is kind of fading, so I need to put a little more of that light color on here. I don't want that little foot pad to disappear on it. So just another coat with a little bit of lighter color. Same here. Now you could do this if you didn't want to paint these. You could do this with white paint pen too and just draw on the little foot. And so then we'll put that on like that for the little feet. Oh, so cute, so cute, so cute. So, okay. So there we go. So we've got this cute little bunny just taking shape. And let's check on our, this one is dry pretty much. I'm going to give it a little bit of a warm up so it will dry all the way. And honestly, it just smells so good because that coffee just, oh, it smells good. I don't know how good that instant coffee, I'm not a fan necessarily of instant coffee anyway, but even if it doesn't taste good, it sure smells good. And this is going to be a little bit harder to sand those edges off of because it's thicker. So I could change to a heavier sandpaper too. But where's the fun in that? Where is the fun? There we go. But now if you saw the online market spot from last month, I sold a whole bunch of these little kits and things. And so there will be a couple a week of the demos for all the different Easter kits, and they'll still be available until we're out of them. And so keep an eye on my schedule so that you don't miss out on something. But they're all going to be these Easter kits that I'll come over here and do the free tutorial on. So you get some ideas on how you want to put them together. Sometimes things just happen, and I'm so glad that somehow this came to be the little bit of a grungy looking guy. There's an area that I need to put a little more decoupage medium on. But now you could paint the edges. You could also put ribbon all the way around the edges if you prefer. But there is another thing that you can do that's really pretty. So let me finish this, get this all glued together, and I'll show you what that's all about. And I'm just going to grab my stick fast. And you do need to put, when you put these feet on, you do want to be careful because you want to make sure that they're going to still sit up. So you don't want this edge of this little foot to go beyond that bottom part of the bunny. Otherwise it will tip over, and you don't want that. So I'm just going to, I like his little feet out a little ways. And then we'll take and put the little muzzle thing on. And then his little nose, and I like his little muzzle a little bit crooked just because it makes him look like he's got his head tilted. And I'll fix that in just a second. It's kind of wonky, but I want that to be right on the point. There we go. So cute. So now we'll let that dry, and then I'll put on some detail with the paint pen, as well as I'll put on some little whiskers. The whiskers are going to be with this stuff, and if you take just a piece of the twine and you tie it in a knot, so I've got a knot, and then I usually measure because I want the whiskers to be fairly even, and you can see that one side's shorter, so I'm going to shorten up the other side. So they're about equal. And then I'll untwist these. And I like them because they're curly. So we'll have that like that. Okay. And you want to make sure that your knot is kind of flat, because if the reason I wanted to have my little nose on there, it's not wanting to flatten out enough. I might have to pop off my nose. Yeah. So I'm going to take that and put it upside down. I'm going to put a little dot of glue at the very tip top, another little dab on the point. I'm going to put my knot right there at the point of the heart, and then go put that little roundy round right back on it. Hold it down. And there I've got my little whiskers, and I'll put the little eyes on there in just a minute. But it's super cute. So fun. I'm going to grab my white and my black paint pens. I'm going to plunge a couple of times, and then I'm just going to run a broken line around those insets on the ears. I can do it on the little muzzle, on the little toes. And you could do this with black if you prefer. But it just starts to take on a whole new little character. Oops. And you could outline the whole thing if you wanted. You wouldn't have to, but It kind of sets it off. And just keep in mind that these are acrylic paint pens, so you can brush varnish over them or spray varnish however you want to do it, or you know, some people don't seal them, and that's okay too. It's all up to you. And then we've got the little eyes to do. Right, sorry, I gotta see it. There's his little eyes. And when those dry, I'll probably put a little dot of white on there. And then we've got our little rag tie. And you could use ribbon or whatever you like if you didn't want to use this. Oops. Junk on my fingers. There we go. There we go. Getting my camera all tilted wrong. And then you just trim them up. You could put a little button on, you know, the center of the bow if you want, or just leave it the way it is. And then, but you're probably saying, but what about that tail? What about that tail? Now, some people like to use a little bit of, you know, a pom-pom or whatever. But one of the things that I like to do is either use a few rounds of this and tie it like a pom-pom, or a few rounds of this. And so you can do it, you know, however you like. But if I do just 3 little rounds of it, and you get quite a bit of this muslin. And then I'll take just a little piece of this twine, and then put it in the center, tie it. Come on. And tuck that little tail in there. There, we got it. And I'll pull it tight. Then I'll cut the loops. But you could use ribbon, you could use yarn. Like I said, you could use a pom-pom if you have one. I've seen it with little buttons, you know, and then I'll cut those little ends. Put a little bit of glue. Yeah, we do have the kits on the website, and they're $15 to make to make 3 of them. It's enough to make 3, and with choices, you'll have some choices that you can make because there's different parts and pieces, and you don't have to use all the parts and pieces on every single one. But I like this little raggy bum too. Oh dear. Uh-oh. These are solid pine. Some of them are MDF, but the gentleman that I have that cuts them does a real nice job, and so they're, you know, not an import or anything. Just so you know, not that that matters to everybody, I get it, but some people it does. But it's got a cute little fluffy bow on it. And then you can finish those fronts. But the little the back side with, you know, that I use for the back side, you could use this as the front side too. But they'll look really cute once they're done and together. And I'll do a very similar thing with this one, but we're still waiting for those dots to kind of dry up. And then we've got our little coffee stained one. We've got a coffee. I need to get a drink of water. So here's our coffee stained one. And one of the things that some people like to do with the coffee granules is, let's get this out. I'm going to put a little more of my decoupage medium on my palette. And then I'll put some coffee with it. So I just have it in my little sprinkle canister. Oh, thank you, Brenda. Yeah, it is fun. Really fun. I'm going to put some dried crystals just off to the side, though, because I'm going to use those too. Let's see. Where did my brush go that I was using for this? Let's use this one. That will work. So I'm going to use that Mod Podge. Well, it's decoupage from Decor and that dried coffee. And I can put that on my little edges. But what you can also do, I'm going to put a little more over there, but once I get those edges kind of covered, and I like the way it looks with the granules still on there. But I'll get that wet, and then I'll go just into the dry and just kind of tap it on there. And what it's going to do is make it almost look like it's a grungy little bunny that's like rusted. It's going to have some texture to it. You could also put some dried cinnamon on it or something, but you put that coffee powder on there a little bit more, but you can also just sprinkle that on there. It's a little bit messy. And you can do this with cinnamon too. But you can see how it's almost like a crust on it. And then you let it dry. And once that's dry, then you go over it with the decoupage medium again, and it will kind of seal it in there. So I'm just going to try and tap it on here. I'm probably going to be sorry that I did this, but just so you can kind of see that you just, once it's dry on there, and mine is not, you just kind of tap some more of that medium on there, and it'll leave almost like a, well, it leaves a crust. Like if you've seen some of the candles or some of the jars that have that texture to them, that's how you get that look. And just put a little more of that Mod Podge. You might need to come back and do it again, and it might take it a while to dry, but you can put this on and, you know, get that almost like it's almost a suede effect. And then you would let it dry, and then it's texture like. So that would be kind of fun to put on there. It's almost like a fake bake kind of a feel, but in a primitive or grungy style. So that's not white showing through, that's just the decoupage medium. And then you can do a little bit here and there on the front. So wherever you want it a little bit darker, just come back and then put some of those granules where you put a little bit more of it. And it will give it that kind of crusty, grungy look. When it's dry, then you can add your features and different things to it. Maybe sand up the edges or something if you've got some real, you know, some edges that are showing. But it's just a real pretty, different kind of a look, but it's real primitive looking. And but again, that's just the decoupage medium. It's not um, the undercoat showing through. That's not the chalk paint. It's just the decoupage. And you can see that coffee starting to run and kind of bleed together. And then it's got some texture to it. Now, is it a look for everyone? Nope. But it's some people like that real primitive look. And that's how you get it. And, anytime you want to put a little more somewhere, you can actually put just a little bit here and there, and it almost will look like that has rusted somewhat. It's just kind of a fun thing if you know somebody who likes that kind of primitive look. But a lot of people would probably leave this as just a little silhouette and not put a lot of feature on them or anything. So I think they're really fun. I think it's really fun. Thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl just posted the bunny kit, and I will finish this one up, especially, and the other pink one, and post them so that you can see them. But I think that you've got all of the tools that you need in order to know how to get these accomplished and get them done. They're really, really fun. They're kind of addictive, and be watching for what we're going to do next time, because I'll have more demos for these other things that are coming up. So this is going to be this week, next week, and I think we even go into the following week. So we've got several of the demos coming up, and it's a lot of fun. Just fun little things. So we'll do some different techniques on it, because you can use these on different things then. This coffee technique I've seen done on jars, and they put different labels and things on them and make them look antique and stuff. So I love the grunge. I really, really do. It does look like a cookie. You're right, Terry. And it's the smell. If you like the smell of coffee, you put that on, or even better, if you sprinkle a little cinnamon on it, it just smells so good. So good. So have a wonderful rest of your day. I will talk to you all soon, and I appreciate you being here and spending some time painting with me. I really do. So I will talk to you all soon. This is Lizbeth Stull, Cottage Caboodle. Bye.